And this is your boy Vance B.
How you been,
How
good
y'all doing?
people? How y'all been, good people? Shout out to the people.
Yeah,
Uh,
shout out to the people.
this week we revisited an album that is so amazing. It's very underrated. I think we can all agree on. Very important to everything it represents. I think with the new release of the upcoming Clips album, it was only right when we went back and revisited one of their most underrated, most slept on albums, Hell Hath No Fury. Let's go.
Yeah.
That was your Pusha T.
Yeah, that was oh man, yeah. It was bad. It wasn't good. It wasn't good at all.
It's hard
Oh
to do.
man.
It's a very unique tag he got, so it's really hard to do.
Goddamn.
Hell Hath No Fury is the second album by the Clips. The album was released November 28th, 2006. The album was fully produced by the Neptunes. I actually read that the album was only produced by Pharrell, but they used the Neptunes for the production credit. But Pharrell has a credit on every single song. So I don't know if that was true, but it was an interesting thing that I saw when I was looking it up. The album singles were "Mr. Me Too," followed by "Want Want What to Do," featuring Slim Thug. Slim Thug was the only person who was not a previous collaborator with the Clips who was featured on here. The other people were Re-Up Gang members, Ab Lava, and Roscoe P. Coltrane. There also was a feature by Bilal, and Pharrell had a feature. He also was, I think, credited on every 5 or 6 songs for also like a songwriter or like a vocal credit. Um, this album released was it 2006 already, and the album came out after Jive Records had been continuously delaying their albums repeat after the merger between Jive and Arista Records, which they were originally signed
Mm,
to.
yeah.
So they went on a independence campaign with Got It for Cheap um, mixtape run. Got
Yeah.
It for Cheap mixtape run, and then that gave them enough. It maintained their notoriety, their status, their music flow, while they were on this back and forth with Jav. Um, Pusha T even addressed it when he says on the opening, no, Mr. Me Too, when he says, sorry to the fans, but the crackers wasn't playing fair at Jive. They really was like, we're not doing it. So this was a big thing for them. And I think the thing that was really interesting, the real reason why I picked this album, because this was my pick, was listening to the past week of some change about Pusha T talking about leaving Def Jam because they wanted to shut him up and tell him he cannot release this album. They had a Kendrick feature on there, and then the clips pretty much saying, "Well, screw y'all. I'll take my music elsewhere. I'll pay to get out." It reminded me of this similar situation with them too, with Jive, the clips, and Pharrell, where they pretty much was like, "We're not making a commercial record." They had already recorded the album. Jive kept playing. They redid the album, so they want to update it, but this album was not a real big commercial album. Not like their first album was. Our first album had bona fide records that got a lot of radio play. I think When the Last Time was their biggest record, if not their biggest record. I think it's forever. Grinding was, I mean,
Grinding.
their biggest charting record. Charting record. Grinding was a cultural classic, and it was played forever on the radio. Um, the song with Faith Evans, I can't think of the name. What was that song? Oh well,
I'm
they
looking
had to.
now. Don't worry.
That was a radio single too for the ladies, for the club, for the. So they was acquiescing to the wants of record labels.
Ma, I don't love her.
Ma, I don't love her, which is
Yeah.
a great song too. I like that song. To listen to her words,
Yeah.
trying to split up
He
his
even worked with Cash
lovebirds.
Money.
Yeah,
Like
well,
back in
yeah,
the day.
well.
Yeah.
We see what that. You see what that got us to today, right?
Yeah, yeah, I know, right?
You see what that got us to today,
Despite the
which
fact that it
actually
was successful.
it's well, Baby didn't want to pay Pharrell. That's what the rumor has
Yeah.
always been. Baby didn't pay Pharrell, which led to Drake and Pusha, which led to Kendrick. Like it just that was just the snowball effect. Um, I'm about to say, let me one more point before I pass it over to you. Oh my God, even the Pusha thing and the Cash Money thing, Mr. Me Too was big because it was calling Little Wayne, calling him out. He was saying, "Hey, Wayne is stealing our style. He's trying to be
Damn.
like us." Yeah, I mean, yeah, this was a big record. It was to me it was. I think commercially it wasn't very commercially viable album, but to me this is my favorite Clips album. It is hands
Mm,
down,
mm.
hands down.
Okay. Well, that says a lot. I'm glad. Thank you for the context because the only thing that I knew about this album specifically was Mr. Me Too. I did hear other songs. I know Nightmares is on my Spotify playlist, and also in my
Beautiful
heart.
record.
Great, beautiful record, and it's dope that it's kind of like the end. But I heard different snippets of this album, but to actually hear this album in its entirety, I know I talk a lot about like angry albums, and it kind of felt that way as you were going through this. It You could tell that it had that anger. Of course, they were talking a lot about Drive throughout this entire album, but man, the way that Clips and the Neptunes always come together and make something that is like sonically out there, but still knocks and still sounds really good. It always baffles me. And this feels more refined than some of their previous albums, despite the fact that they did have these issues with their label. Um, but yeah, this was really good. And the fact that I heard it in another weird place unexpectedly was also really dope too, and kind of solidified like their greatness in the long term and this album's greatness in the long term. Uh, I do feel like a lot of people, I don't think people give the Clips enough credit for what they contributed to this culture. And I think this album was kind of pivotal to like the mid 2000s and where their stake was. Uh, I saw that for the promotional runs when it originally happened, but now listening to it, as a grown, adult and kind of hearing like some of the lyrics and some of the sounds on a more deeper level. I really like this album. There were some parts where I was a little like, maybe this won't fit me, but it was still something that was just beautifully crafted for the time that it came out, and still showed for me what the anger that they did have or the
Yeah.
frustrations that they had for their record or other people that they might have had beats with. It
I
felt like an
hope you.
angry one compared to
Yeah,
previous albums.
absolutely. This is 100% more darker than what we were used to Lowell. And I also hope you do share out what it is was you didn't like about it because I'm interested to know. Because when I first heard it, when I was 16, 17,
Yeah.
6, whatever, certain songs I didn't like until later on down the road I started liking more. And I won't say what they were, but if you got the same songs, it'll be very interesting. Yeah, man, this album has is such it's like a nexus point for a lot of different reasons. This is kind of when they ran into some like you can start to see some of the it was glimmers on the first album. You can start to see like Malice's disdain for some of the things and whatever certain things get into him in certain songs. They've always had label trouble. Their first album got shelved before Pharrell gave them the stamp of approval, and brought them in, through that way because he blew up. He took them with him. But that first album, exclusive audio footage, never really got released. It kind of got released like as an afterthought later on. But that was their first album before Lowell, and it never really came out like a real release. And
Mm.
then Def Jam thing, here we are almost 20 years later. Def Jam doing the stuff now, so it just felt like an interesting point to where they still having this issue of the label not getting what they're trying to do. I think the thing about the Clips that people misunderstand is that they don't care about hit records, and I
Right.
love that they don't care about hits.
They never been about that. Like, I don't
Never.
know why everybody always think that they're like normal rappers who are trying to go for the hits. They never been about the hits. They've always been about for the streets. Kind of like Rough Riders or other. The only difference between Rough Riders and the Clips is that the Clips, they're like, whatever we get that is successful, cool. We'll work with it. But Rough Riders, they'll make hits and shit like that, but they'll still be themselves and they'll still be for the streets. They're the same
Yeah.
fucking thing, but
Yeah.
they're really good at what they do. And why break what doesn't need to be fixed? Like what I don't know. I don't know. It's
I
weird.
I think that they were really inspired by the Ghetto Boys and Scarface
Yeah.
and 8 Ball MJG and UGK. You can tell by their raps, you can tell by the content and where they from that record sales to them was not the pinnacle of what it meant to be success. It was making a body of art that you could really want to feel proud in. And I think that's why they ran into so many issues because they did songs with Justin Timberlake. Like they have one of the biggest producers ever to exclusively make their beats on all for their albums. They could have always gotten a hit record if they wanted one. They
Right.
choose not to. And
Yeah.
Grinding was a hit, not on purpose. Like they didn't expect it to be a hit. It just became a hit because everybody loved it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Even like some of the songs that he just appears on is just like a feature, just happen to be hits. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like
Yep.
even if you go back to the good music albums, like he just shows up there, he knocked his verse out. He's probably gonna mention some coke, and then he just disappears. He just does his own thing. It's fine. It's fine. Every artist doesn't have to be a big star, and I think the fact that both members of the Clips literally don't give a fuck and they just do whatever they want has always been something that I respected them for as
Yeah.
artists. You know what I'm saying? Sure, I might
Absolutely.
not always be like into what they might produce. They might experiment with shit that I'm like, maybe it's not for me. But they always have like both members have a consistent base. You know what I'm saying? Miles may have went to gospel music, but he still did it and still created his own, his own lane before coming back and forming together. This year, or previously last year, and when this album was created. You know what I'm saying? They don't care. I like that. We need more artists that was like we. Of course, there are more artists that are not really giving a fuck, but like we need more artists who have the superstar lane, like the Clips, who literally don't give a fuck. And I'll be so okay with that because if they produce stuff like this, we can actually have great conversations, and then they can disappear and go do whatever the fuck they want before they make the next project.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Yeah.
something that I
Yeah.
miss about the Clips.
Absolutely. Longevity also plays a factor in that because you can play the long game because you can generate income and it's a good investment because it's going to pay out over time. Okay, let's get to the fun part, man. You get, I picked it, so you get to go first.
Okay. I
Um,
We're actually going to start pretty early on in the track list, and I'm going to go with Mama. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, this shit was fire. I really like Mama. I'm sorry because of the beat. It's right after the first track, which is like you already know what kind of album you're going to get. You know what I'm saying? It has the and I'm talking about the intro. It has kind of like the Spanish, Colombian cartel kind of vibe going. You already know what this album's going to be. They're not making it really different, which is kind of like funny, but it sets you up for the album. And then this album, I mean, this next song, Mama, I'm sorry, it just takes you there in a way that I fucked with. It once again, I did not hear this album in its entirety when it first came out. I did hear the singles, but to actually hear something like this kind of come off the gate was really dope, man. It was really fire. I do like the verse, and on top of that, I think what reinforced this being one of my favorite songs is the fact that I recently heard this like randomly at a fucking lacrosse game. What that I was playing it. So it kind of just reinforced how much I like the song, especially since I played a little bit better off of it. So my mom's sorry, definitely is something that I could bang in the whip as well. You know what I'm saying? That Neptune's space vibe, but still has a more hip hop kind of influence to let that to allow both artists to kind of flow off of. It was just dope, and it was something very different compared to other shit that I heard from Clips or Neptunes. It feels like when they come together, they know how to produce something that is unique but still relevant to both of their styles. So I definitely going to start out with my mom. Sorry. Can you hear me? Hello, 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 hello.